Hello and welcome to episode 7 of Natalie inRenaissance. I'm so happy you're here. The last episode, I talked about energy and the ways in which we as teachers, as givers, as nurturers, as leaders can give some of that energy that we so graciously and generously give to everyone else and take some of that energy and give it to ourselves, and especially internally when it comes down to things that we want to do or things that we are limiting ourselves. We're going to give that energy back to ourselves in a very generous way and grace-filled way to our own selves. And a lot of that discussion was coming from a place of investment and energy and what we as individuals can control and what we also can't control. And as someone who works with a lot of people in different environments, in different structures, knowing what I can or can't control is the difference between me having a horrendous day or me having a very productive, positive day. Is just that, focusing on what I can control. Looking back at my history as a college music major and a pianist, I never failed to have a certain analogy or metaphor just because of all the experiences and really the pressure I was under and the amount of overload that I was having cognitively, time-wise, emotionally, mentally. I learned a lot. But I did give, in my time with 2 degrees, I did give 3 recitals for my degree, and I had 2-hour-long memorized solo piano recitals, and then also a half one, which was 30 minutes of solo memorized music. And I just remember you would get your recital date, maybe 3 months out, 6 months out, just depending on the time frame and things like that. And I just remember having this looming deadline, this looming thing coming up. And there's a lot of uncertainty and there are a lot of unknowns when it comes to that. But really, the way to thrive is just to say, okay, what is my job in this moment? What am I supposed to do in this moment? And for me, that was practice. And I practiced a lot. And I also found comfort in the daily practice. Going there every day, that was my way of showing up and of doing my job each and every day and putting in some work, because I knew that even though the event was in the future, me showing up every day, doing consistently what I was supposed to be doing in these small doses, in these daily doses, was going to put me in the best place for that big event. And so being at the keyboard, being with the music and being in constant connection with that was something that helped me to ward off uncertainty and to take away anxiety. And so all this training and all this preparation beforehand in consistent doses was my way of controlling what I could control and not really worried about anything else. But when it came down to performance time, and performance is so different from practice. Performance is really you showing what you've been doing consistently all along. And it really doesn't matter what you do in that moment. It's a celebration of everything that has come before. And so there was one performance that I had where, this is going to sound so crazy because you train so meticulously, you train so diligently, so consistently. But my goal in every performance was to let go. And it's to trust all your training. It's to trust all your mental habits, your reflexes, your thought process, and to just let go and enjoy the present. And it's the hardest thing to do, really. It's a luxury, a mental luxury of complete trust. And to be able to find that in performance, in a live wire, a raw moment, is so beautiful. But I have been able to do that. And it's such a beautiful analogy when you think about something, music. It's so many things. It's science, it's math, it's physics, it's art. I mean, you can find anything in the world of music, which I love it because it's such a bridge in so many ways. And I have to do an episode just about that topic. But when you think about music, it can be very, very detailed. There's theory, there's all these things. But then we have the benefits and why I signed up to do music in the first place. And I was just talking about this with someone this week, but music for me has always been about a story and about being a storyteller and connecting with others on a very deep level by bringing things to life from my mind, evoking images in their mind, but just communicating a message and being on the same page and just having a shared human experience through sound. And that has been just a hallmark of me personally as a player and as a teacher. And even when working with my students, there's so many different things that we can get quote unquote stuck on because music is so detailed. And my approach, of course, my approach is very different than it was even 3 or 4 years ago, just because as I have learned, as I have grown, my priorities have shifted. I think that's very evident to everyone who knows me. But the point, I think, is that when we're so focused on the small things and all of it at once, it's very hard to feel like you are going to be in control and that you can keep a level head and have a clear mind and also enjoy what you're doing. And so in working with my clients, I prefer big picture thinking over small detail thinking at first, just because I think building a context is super important, but also starting with the why they even signed up to do music, why they love music, what's their most favorite thing, because when you build out of that place of enjoyment, it then becomes very natural to fill in all the details later. But I don't see the point in starting with small details first and then, oh yeah, we're doing this because you love music. What's that? As sort of an after discussion. It just doesn't work for me. And so I much prefer reversing that, where we start with the story. We start with what draws them. And this works for both young and for the more experienced players, because that is what motivates them. That is what inspires them. And then later on, as they're ready for it, as they grow, we can fill in those little things later. And I think it also helps because in that discussion, in that journey together, we learn, okay, what are we really here about? Do we need to control everything? Does every note need to be perfect? No, that's not why we're here. We're here because you love playing pop songs, and we want to see how much you enjoy playing this, much more than we want a robotic, perfect performance. And so in giving my clients permission, which I don't even like that verbiage because I don't believe it, but when they realize that they can think about the music and they can think about performance differently, they learn that it's okay to let go. It's okay to let go of the idea of perfection. It's so much easier for both of us to show up and enjoy the time that we have together. And ironically, when they prioritize enjoyment and being present and having fun, they actually do perform better. They actually do enjoy it more. And so by reversing their mindset, their framing, we actually accomplish so much more. And in thinking about letting go, what we can control, I think how much of this is stress-based. And foundationally, it spikes cortisol, too much of it. And in life, even though we're doing beautiful things, and it could be running a business, it could be being a leader, taking an admin position, I think we really have to prioritize our why much more than we do the little things, because if we're only there and only dealing with the little things, we're going to lose touch with the reason we're actually there. And so as we think about space and activity, there's a balance, I think, between underperforming and overperforming, being underdeveloped and being overdeveloped, in that that's a spectrum for all of us to think about, because we all fall somewhere differently on that spectrum. But what I do know is that the majority of people who I interact with and the people that I meet, my students, they're tired. Parents are tired. People are tired, overworked, overstimulated. And so I think really tuning in to our own unique situations, of our own callings, of where we are in life, and being really honest with what we need and maybe where we're doing too much and where we're maybe trying to overextend ourselves and hyper control And maybe we need to just let go and find the beauty in that, where maybe this Saturday, instead of cleaning your house or doing yard work, maybe you just take a day off and you go on a hike. Maybe you take a day trip to that place that you saved on your Instagram but you haven't been able to go. Maybe it's leaving your phone on airplane mode. So if we just take a step back and instead of being triggered and doing what we would normally do, just consciously taking a step back and enjoying the space. One thing as a teacher I find is so interesting is that teachers and leaders are very uncomfortable with space. And you want to fill that space with speech. Fill that space by keeping things moving. And of course, I'm not talking in all scenarios, but I think space is such an important part of life. And I'm coming more and more to understand that now on multiple levels. But it's okay if you have space in your life. You don't have to rush it. You don't have to fill it with something else. Just take that space to really just be and tune inwards and not feel that you have to jump into the next thing or be in your head so much. It's okay to just be here in this beautiful moment that we have now. And life isn't just about the highlights, about the pushing, about the doing, about the going. It's also the slow and the lowly and the still and the quiet, and learning how to do space beautifully and letting go of the shoulds and coulds and woulds is just going to make us all happier and healthier. So take a moment of reflection now and think about what you need. Do you have too much big picture and space in your life and you need to take a step into something else? Or do you have too many little things, too many details that are sort of like trees in a forest and you don't have enough space? And just thinking about that balance of what you actually do want to contribute in. Do you want to be involved in this situation, or would you rather take a step back and just say, this isn't serving me? Maybe it's diving into something else and saying, yes, working and contributing my energy to something else, to this business, to this activity, to this relationship is going to bring me joy. And it's really not about the answer as so much as it is being honest with yourself, but mostly appreciating where you are and thinking about what you can do now to enhance the value of where you are now. I really think that no stage of life is invaluable. Everything is to teach us some lesson, but the more we can learn to balance doing with letting go, choosing what we invest our energy over versus what we take away our energy from, that's the moment where we really know how to step into something, a position, a relationship, an environment, a travel opportunity, and really play to our strengths and in a way that's going to add value to our lives, and also teach other people how to bring value and enjoy their lives more. Thank you for listening to this episode. If you don't follow on Instagram, it's Natalie inRenaissance. Please leave a rating and review. We'll see you in the next episode.